Mia and Jack burst from the trees, gasping for breath. They stumbled, fell to their knees. Safe, finally safe. They had escaped the whispering woods. The memory of the whispering voices still chilled them to the bone, but the sun was shining now, warm on their faces. "Never again," Mia whispered, her voice trembling. Jack nodded, his eyes wide with fear. They hugged each other tightly, two frightened children. They ran home, hearts pounding. Their parents were frantic. Relief washed over their faces as Mia and Jack returned. Life went back to normal. Almost. School, friends, homework. But the woods lingered in their thoughts, a constant shadow. Mia couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Uneasy eyes followed her every move. Jack's nightmares were haunted by whispering voices. One afternoon, a group of kids were talking about the woods. A dare sparked in their eyes. "Let's go in!" someone shouted. Mia and Jack exchanged a look. Fear and something else. Curiosity. They couldn't turn away. They followed the others, their footsteps crunching on the forest floor, the sound echoing eerily in the stillness of the night. The dense canopy above blocked out most of the moonlight, casting long, sinister shadows that seemed to dance with every flicker of their flashlights. A knot of dread in their stomachs tightened with each step they took. The forest seemed to close in around them, the trees whispering secrets they couldn't quite hear. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig made their hearts race faster. The air grew cold as they entered the woods, a chill that seemed to seep into their very bones. The mist swirled around their ankles, thickening with every step, making it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. The sunlight seemed to vanish, swallowed by the oppressive darkness of the forest. It was as if they had stepped into another world, one where light was a distant memory. The group ventured deeper, their laughter fading with each step. The jovial chatter that had filled the air moments before was replaced by an uneasy silence. Then they saw it. A small wooden box nestled at the base of a gnarled oak tree. It looked ancient, as if it had been there for centuries, waiting for someone to find it. It was ornately carved with strange symbols, symbols that none of them recognized. The intricate design seemed to pulse with a life of their own, drawing them closer. The kids gathered around it, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. They whispered among themselves, debating whether to open it or leave it be. One brave soul reached out and opened the box. It was empty, or so they thought. The silence that followed was deafening, each of them holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. A faint, sweet smell wafted out, filling the air around them. Then the whispers began. Soft at first, like a gentle breeze, but growing louder, more insistent. The kids looked at each other, their faces pale with fear, as the forest seemed to come alive with the sound of voices from another time. The whispers were different this time. Not just whispers, screams, groans, pleas for help. The kids panicked, dropping the box. "We need to get out of here!" Jack shouted, his voice trembling. Mia grabbed his hand and they ran. But the woods had changed. The trees seemed to press closer, their branches like grasping claws. The path was gone, lost. They ran until they were breathless, but the whispers followed, louder now, closer. They were surrounded. Section 5. The glowing symbol. They huddled together, fear gripping their hearts. The whispers swirled around them, a chorus of despair. Then, Mia noticed something. A faint glow coming from the direction of the box. It pulsed with an eerie light, beckoning them. "We have to go back," Mia said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack stared at her in disbelief. "Are you crazy?" But Mia couldn't shake the feeling that the glowing box held the key to their escape. They had to face their fears. They had to go back. Section 6. Trapped! They made their way back, carefully retracing their steps. The whispers seemed to intensify with each step they took. Finally, they reached the clearing. The box pulsed with an unnatural light. As they approached, the whispers abruptly stopped. Mia cautiously reached for the box. As her fingers brushed against the cold wood, the ground beneath them rumbled. A trap. The earth split open, swallowing the box and separating Mia and Jack from their friends. They were on one side, their friends on the other. Section 7. Whispers of a clue. Mia! Jack! Their friends cried out in terror, but the chasm was too wide to jump. They were trapped. The whispers started again, this time sounding almost mournful. Mia closed her eyes, trying to make sense of the chaotic sounds. And then she heard it. A voice, clearer than the others. The symbol. Find the symbol. It repeated over and over. Mia's eyes flew open. The symbol. The box had been carved with it. She had to find another symbol somewhere in the woods. Section 8. A desperate plan. She scanned their surroundings, her heart pounding. The forest was eerily silent, the only sound being the rustling of leaves underfoot. Every shadow seemed to move, and every gust of wind felt like a whisper of danger. Mia's breath came in short, sharp gasps as she tried to steady herself. She knew they didn't have much time. There, carved into the trunk of an ancient oak, the same symbol glowed faintly. It was the mark they had been searching for, the key to their escape. The symbol pulsed with a soft, otherworldly light, casting an eerie glow on the surrounding foliage. It was both a beacon of hope and a reminder of the peril they faced. "Jack, we have to get to that tree!" Mia exclaimed, pointing. Her voice was a mix of urgency and desperation. She could feel the weight of their predicament pressing down on her, but she couldn't afford to let fear paralyze her. They had to act, and they had to act now. But it was on the other side of the chasm. The gap was wide and treacherous, with jagged rocks lining the bottom. One wrong step could mean certain doom. The chasm seemed to stretch endlessly, a gaping maw ready to swallow them whole. The sight of it sent a shiver down Mia's spine. How could they possibly reach it? The question hung in the air, heavy with doubt. Jack's face mirrored Mia's anxiety, his eyes darting around as he searched for a solution. The forest seemed to close in around them, the trees standing like silent sentinels, watching their every move. Looking around frantically, Mia noticed a fallen log precariously balanced over the chasm. It was old and weathered, its surface slick with moss. The log looked like it could give way at any moment, but it was their only option. The thought of crossing it made her stomach churn, but she knew they had no choice. It was their only chance. A very slim chance. The log bridge was narrow and unstable, but it was the only path to the symbol. Mia and Jack exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between them. They had to try, no matter the risk. Their survival depended on it. "Help me push this log," she said to Jack, her voice filled with urgency. Together, they heaved against the log, their muscles straining with the effort. The log creaked and groaned, but it held. They had to be quick before the forest decided to reclaim its fallen limb. They had to work together if they were going to escape this nightmare. Every second counted, and every movement had to be precise. The forest was unforgiving, and they could feel its eyes on them, urging them to hurry. With one final push, the log was in place. Now, the real challenge began. Section 9. The ground opens up. The night was dark and the forest seemed to close in around them, the trees whispering secrets of old. The air was thick with tension, every rustle of leaves sending shivers down their spines. With a mighty heave, they pushed the log towards the chasm. The effort was immense, their muscles straining under the weight. Each step was a battle against the uneven ground, but they knew they had no choice. The chasm was their only way forward. It teetered on the edge, then crashed down, forming a makeshift bridge. The sound echoed through the forest, a reminder of the precariousness of their situation. They exchanged nervous glances, knowing that this bridge was their lifeline. "Go!" Mia shouted, giving Jack a push towards the log. Her voice was filled with urgency, a mix of fear and determination. She knew that every second counted. He hesitated, fear etched on his face. "What about you?" His voice trembled, the thought of leaving her behind unbearable. But Mia's eyes were resolute, her mind made up. But there was no time for arguments. The ground beneath them was unstable. and they could feel the vibrations growing stronger. They had to move, and they had to move now. The ground beneath their feet began to tremble again. The chasm was widening. The once narrow gap was now a gaping maw, threatening to swallow them whole. The urgency in the air was palpable. They had to act fast. Every second wasted could mean the difference between life and death. Their hearts pounded in their chests, adrenaline coursing through their veins. "I'll be right behind you," Mia yelled. Her voice was strong, but there was an undercurrent of fear. She hoped Jack couldn't hear it, but she knew he did. Jack took a shaky step onto the log. The wood creaked under his weight, and he could feel the abyss below calling to him. He forced himself to focus, one step at a time. As he reached the other side, the ground where Mia stood crumbled. The earth gave way with a terrifying roar, and Mia's eyes widened in shock. "Mia!" Jack screamed, watching in horror as his sister disappeared into the darkness below. His heart shattered, the sound of her fall echoing in his ears. The darkness seemed to swallow her whole, leaving him alone on the other side.